Welcome back to 500 Hobbies. My name is Amanda, and this is the little space on the internet where I talk about my various hobbies. Today, I want to talk about 3 knitting tools that have really upgraded my experience crafting. So, as someone who is a serial hobbyist knows, hobbies can be very expensive if you buy all the tools people say you need. So I would really recommend these tools only if you find yourself as an avid knitter. If you're just picking it up, I would recommend against kind of like going to the store and just like getting everything that people say that you need if you're a knitter, a long time knitter, because you don't know if you're really going to stick with the hobby or like it that much. And I don't think you need to spend hundreds of dollars to start with the craft. But if you find yourself as someone who's a regular knitter, I think that these have really improved my experience. And yeah, can't recommend enough. So first, I want to talk about perhaps the first kind of knitting upgrade that you might want to give yourself. I, like a lot of people, started knitting on these like straight needles, which are really only good for knitting flat and not knitting anything too big because typically they come in standard sizes that are not as wide as a sweater would be or something like that. So the first thing that I would say is to get a set of interchangeable circular needles. I'm not really sure why I started on straight when you can knit flat or in the round on an interchangeable needle set. They also sell them just in, one circular size if you're not quite ready to make the financial investment into a whole set. So the one set that I really can't recommend, and I basically got it because I read a lot of reviews, is the chiagoo set. These are metal knitting needles, which are the type that I prefer. Um, and they come with 3 different cord sizes, and you can use all the different needle sizes. They have the small set and also the large set. I think they also sell them separately. So if you're someone that mostly works with um, lower weight or like thinner yarns, you could opt just to buy the smaller needle sizes or vice versa if you're using heavier weight typically. They also sell these in the shorties, which I also have, and these are basically just shorter needles with shorter cords that you can use to knit sleeves or cuffs instead of using double pointed needles, because I really want to stay away from those as much as I can. I will admit this set is quite an investment. I think it was close to $200 when I bought it, but I knit a lot, so I think it's worth it. And I think that these will last me a really long time. A lot of people have said that they've had theirs for like close to a decade, if not more. When I was reading online, when I got a circular needle set at first, I did just buy one from Michael's, and I think it was like $30 or $40. That was a good way for me to kind of make sure that this was something that I was going to stick with. So if you don't have a set, I would say just try a cheaper set from Michael's or something. Make sure that you're going to stick with it. And then if you find yourself knitting a lot through the years, this is a really good upgrade. And I essentially upgraded because my Michael set broke. So that really showed me that it was time to get something new. Second, I want to talk about barber cords, which is something that I wish that I had used like a long time ago. Basically, there are these situations where maybe you want to try on something that you're knitting in the round, or you just want to set some stitches to rest. And I had been using just like pieces of yarn to do that, and you can certainly do that. That is a lower cost alternative. But I ended up just getting this round of barber cord from Amazon for like $10. and you can see that it has like a little opening there where you can stick your needle and just slide your stitches on really nicely. And they can stay there until you're ready to make them live stitches again. So I bought this spool, couldn't remember that word before, over a year ago. And, you know, I still have plenty left. There are some that are sold, I think, by Petite Knit, that I'm not sure if I will look up to see if it's more expensive or not. But, you know, since I'm based in the US, I think it probably would be more expensive for me to like order them from her site. And this, I think, does the job fine. And it's really useful for when I have to try on things, and the stitches slide on a lot better than when I was just using a piece of acrylic scrap yarn. And it's also reusable. So I basically keep like one really long one for when I have the body stitches at rest, and then some shorter ones if I'm just doing sleeves or something like that. So if you keep track of the wires or the cords, they can be pretty sustainable as well. And then the last thing I want to talk about is this yarn holder. I do have some yarn bowls, which honestly, I think they're mostly decorative. You certainly don't need a yarn bowl or anything to hold your yarn in order to knit, but I think there came a point where I was working a lot of things held double. So like a DK weight, something, and a mohair or a fingering weight held double with itself. And this yarn holder was really helpful um, in preventing kind of tangling situations. I also got this off Amazon, and I think it was reasonably priced. They also have a single version one if you're not someone that works double a lot. And I think that this has really changed my kind of yarn organization. It is a little cumbersome to carry around, but if you're mostly like, I do a lot of knitting like on our couch, so I'll just put it on the side table and it'll keep everything really orderly. And as a bonus, Soba really likes to play with it when it's not in use. So if you have a cat, you can kind of double as a toy as well. So those are the three things that I think have really upgraded my experience. Like I said, certainly you don't need these things to get started knitting, and you certainly don't need them to make beautiful garments, which is the goal. But I think it has made my knitting life a lot easier and more orderly, which is always appreciated by other people in the house. So that's all I have today. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one.